Here's Cardano zoomed out on the weekly chart. There's a lot to talk about in today's video in relation to price action. And the first thing I want to make a note of is this $5 to $10 range that we've kind of been talking about on this channel for Cardano in this bull cycle remains so intact. It is so realistically in play. And when we see altcoins break out of nowhere, the power move is shocking. And I think that's kind of the thing that's going to happen again with Cardano this cycle. Now, with that being said, there will be stepping stones. In this video, I want to talk about what those stepping stones could look like. It could bring volatility. It can bring dips. So I'm going to even talk about the shorter term price action of Cardano, what to anticipate, but even that next stepping stone, $1.50 to $2. We have a target in play with some structure that I'm actually very excited to cover in this video. So hit the subscribe, hit the like. If you're not in our intelligence system, check out our risk models, our exit planners, join our members, 40% off right now. Pinned comment below. We're actually going to use the Cardano risk model just a little bit in this video, but let's start on the monthly. Let's talk about momentum. Here's what we have going on. Since the bear market lows, by the way, we've been in a higher low just move. It's such a nice chart for Cardano. If you're okay with being patient with an asset, it's not been bad. If you're okay not getting, overnight 10 to 20x, this has not been bad. This has been time for accumulation, and this is what this looks like, actually. This looks like smart money accumulating, preparing, and we've seen many times these high fear environments, retail panicking. So that's been the story for quite some time now. But with that being said, it's this move that we're in right now. We are really, and we're gonna start dissecting this, how this story is playing out. We're really getting close to a potential breakout. This really could be the moment for Cardano with some volatility involved. Let's talk about it. Here's the monthly candle that we have going on. What I want to point out to you, and then we'll zoom in on this moment, is the RSI. You see this RSI, the slower moving momentum oscillator, just escaping this moving average line that you see right there. Again, the RSI looks insane in terms of upside, but the move itself is very similar to this move, especially from a business cycle perspective. When we start considering where we are in the business cycle, right? Interest rates are about to come down. Fed pivoting. We just went through multi-year quantitative tightening. So we are in a very similar environment here, right? The money printers were turning on back then. And you can see what Cardano is doing on the monthly. And by the way, I should say, there are a lot of different narratives right now for all different altcoins. But for Cardano specifically, there's a ton of different narratives. Bitcoin and what Cardano is doing and solving for Bitcoin and Bitcoin DeFi. Midnight, I think, is going to bring a really cool vibe and some good energy to Cardano. But then there's also this one, Cardano ETF in 2025, approval odds, 84%. And so even in the next 2 to 3 months with the ETF narrative, keep an eye on these things, because these are big deals when we're starting to talk about price action. But again, we are very similar on the monthly to right here. So what does that look like, though, in terms of structure, price action, risk? Check this out. Here we are on the weekly. We get a little bit of a better picture in terms of structure. You can see ADA exiting the bear market lows and kind of just pulling back of consolidation. And then there's that moment of breakout. This is kind of where we are. We're waiting to see, can Cardano make this move, right? And we could have said something very similar in terms of this move back here. And much of the industry got faked out about this move, calling it altcoin season. It didn't play out. And I remain very focused, and I really maintain my opinion that it's okay, that this wasn't the parabolic move for altcoins. It's okay. But with that being said, we're in a new consolidation and potential breakout area, and it is very similar to back here. Now, if we look at the MACD on Cardano, I just want to point something out. We're just getting a MACD line crossing above the signal line. So in terms of breakout potential, there is a ton of upside to this move. And we're about to dissect the targets for this move. Before we do that, I want to just look at something. And that is this. What is the risk of Cardano right now? And what was the risk of Cardano kind of like in this area back here? If we go look at the risk model, we're sitting at a 45 right now in terms of risk. What's so interesting to me is this. You see, there's that kind of escaping the bear market. We hit this area up here last cycle at like 50, 51, and then we consolidate, right? Consolidate, and then boom, we're making a move to the upside. And this is what we're looking for. You see how Cardano ultimately finally broke this swing high back here? It consolidated first, but then it broke away. That's what we're looking for. We're looking to break this swing high, but look at the risk. 51 on the risk score, 53. So in that 50 range, consolidating. And right now we're at a 45 in terms of risk score, but we're waiting for this breakout moment. And in terms of momentum, in terms of all of the similarities, business cycle, we really are in this similar moment. This breakout could happen imminently, but let's talk about it. Let's zoom in on the daily and just kind of let's get a sense of what needs to happen or what could happen first. Maybe it's not this week, right? Maybe we get a dip first. So here's what I was looking at. There's this structure on the Cardano chart, right? If we look at this, it's a clear descending triangle. And this morning I was looking at it while I was setting up this video. I was like, I kind of was just like, I've seen this before. A thought is a descending triangle is just bearish. That's not good. You know, we break to the downside. Especially in crypto, you can't look at a pattern like that. There are there's percentages, there's data. Maybe a descending triangle breaks down 60% of the time, right? But that's not a guarantee that it's a bearish structure all of the time. With that being said, I was kind of like, I feel like I've seen this before. And I have. We've seen it before. The bottom of the bear market for Cardano was a descending triangle, and it marked the bottom, and Cardano broke out. Now, here's what's really cool on the daily chart. If we open up the RSI, we are just entering this overbought territory in this current move on the RSI. But that is the beginning of a bull move. And I say this cycle of Cardano's bull moves, last cycle, entering the bull market, this first move into overbought, you might be like, well, it's overbought. It's time to just crash and dip. Not on the daily chart. This is the first sign of a bull move. And we have examples right here. Enters overbought. This is the first sign of the bull move. And you remember this move back in November. We can go back to breaking out of this descending triangle, very similar structure that we have right now. This bull move, you can see it was the beginning of this entire move to the upside, and it was getting overbought first. So we are getting hints that the breakout for Cardano is just beginning. We go back to last cycle. Check it out. Overbought. And what was that? I mean, we have overbought a couple times. Once right there, once right here. And what were those times if we look at the chart? Very simple. It's the beginning of the massive bull move. In particular, bull market. So this daily overbought, I think, is a very important indicator to pay attention to. But now when we start evaluating, okay, last cycle, Cardano breaking out, making its move, and then I want to talk about the target to the upside for Cardano for this pattern. But last cycle, here's that similar risk score, consolidates back to a similar risk score. This is like kind of where we are right now. We're trying to break this previous swing high, and Cardano did it last cycle, and then it made its way, broke the bull market doors. Well, here we are right now. We're looking for Cardano to break the previous swing high, right? And this is the setup that's getting ready to happen, in my opinion. Breaks that swing high, simultaneously breaks the bull market doors. Well, now we have in play Cardano entering its bull market. And that's what that is, that $1.20 to $1.25 range. So the structured setup for Cardano right now tells that story, or at least leads up to that part of the story. Now, how can this play out? Well, we have the target of like $1.75 or so out of this descending triangle. Number one, Cardano could pull back first. Maybe it needs to test the 60s, test the upper trend line. And I'm not saying this is definitely how this is going to play out. I'm from a unemotional, data-driven perspective. I want to just do some price action analysis. This is in play, okay? And maybe we don't need to go back to the triangle. Maybe it's just a matter of, dipping, consolidating sideways for a little bit, falling into lower 80s, maybe 70s, and letting these moving averages kind of catch up to Cardano before making the continued move to the upside. Along the way to a $1.75 target is resistance. It's this lower high Fibonacci that we've been tracking. It's this bull market door area around $1.20 to $1.25. But with that being said, if ADA is going to make the powerful move, I could see Cardano breaking that with extreme velocity. And so that's what I'll be watching for. If Cardano has a breakout moment, and this momentum continues to the upside, these are all the resistance areas I'm watching for, and $1.75. And I would not be surprised if Cardano were to surpass that and start testing $2. And this is the moment of kind of the beginning of the Cardano bull market, in my opinion. And then from there, we start talking about getting to all-time highs and going into price discovery up to, and it could be below, it could be beyond, but that $5 to $10 range is what I'm watching for Cardano to enter. But it's a matter of how does it get there? That journey. I mean, from bear market lows, we've been on quite the journey, haven't we? Swing high, swing low, months of just unknown and just so much fear. Well, here we are, we're waiting for a breakout move. Even on the short term, there could be a lot of volatility. We could fall back into the 70s. Like I said, even the 60s if we're going to test this triangle. And there will be people like, oh, it was a fake out. The whole thing was a fake out. And I will just be here like, you know what? This is a structured move. This is a normal move. And I'm still waiting because I understand the fundamentals of this bull cycle. I understand where we are in the business cycle. I understand where we are in terms of risk. And these are the things I'm focused on. I'm not focused on just only looking at price volatility and all of the fake outs along the way. That's crypto. That's what happens. And so for Cardano, it's the same exact story. This is stepping stones for me. I want to do a video talking about kind of the really bullish targets, but I wanted to do more this video, a shorter term price action type of thing, because I think there could be a lot of volatility in store in the days ahead. And we're just going to continue tracking it. Would really enjoy to see if Cardano could actually just start making the continued move to the upside now, test the upper range of these bull market doors, maybe get resistance up there, right? And then consolidate. And then we're making our way to the target out of this descending triangle. So these are the things I'm watching on Cardano right now. Cardano from a macro cycle, price action perspective, and even a risk model perspective. So if you're not in our intelligence system, please check it out. We have a lot of cool things coming, but get in there, especially if you're an ADA holder. You can plan your exits. You can set alerts within your exit planner based on our risk model. So we start hitting these upper risk scores, 80s, 70s, 90s. And you can see 2 cycles ago, ADA went to 94. So if you want to be alerted when it's good time to start kind of averaging out, taking profits, we have our risk models back here. So please check it out. And there's more. We have Bitcoin and a bunch of altcoins, and you can check out all the assets we offer on our website. So those are my thoughts today on Cardano. I wanted to just do a price action video. I just thought it would be good. I haven't done a Cardano video in quite some time. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. I appreciate you watching. If you enjoyed this content, smash that like button. I'll see you in the next video. God bless.